I'd like to ask the number of red light enforcement cameras that are currently in operation, the number that are planned to be rolled out in the remainder of 2021 and into 2022, and if you will make a statement on the matter.
Thank you, Deputy, for your question. As the Minister for Transport, I have no role in relation to the installation of cameras. Road traffic legislation sets out the standards for the use of such cameras and their effect in terms of road traffic law. Under Section 81 of the Road Traffic Act 2010, electronic apparatus, including cameras, may be used to provide evidence in relation to offences under a number of the provisions of the Road Traffic Acts. The enforcement of road traffic law is a matter for the Gardaí, with some powers provided for local authorities in relation to parking controls. The installation of cameras for traffic management is a matter for the relevant local authority. In relation to the installation of cameras to detect red light offences, in 2015 to 2016 a pilot was successfully carried out at the intersection of Blackhall Place and Benburb Street on the Red Lewis line under an agreement between the National Transport Authority and An Garda Síochána. The NTA operated the system and provided images to An Garda Síochána, who had responsibility for processing the violations. The aim of the pilot was to reduce collisions between cars at that intersection and trams on the Red Line. Following a review of the project, 2 further locations have been selected for red light cameras, Concalbert Road and Queen Street. My department has been advised that the NTA will be developing system design and technical specifications for tenders to install and operate the 3 sites. Separately, the role of additional camera-based enforcement and its potential road safety benefits is currently being considered by the department and transport agencies.
Thank you, Minister, for that answer. As you say yourself, the NTA has a role to play here, and I think it does speak to some of the discussion that we've had in the last few weeks around the idea of transport police, which I also think is an idea that has merit. But we can no longer divide the issue of enforcement from the proper operation of our transport systems. I get consistent feedback from my own constituents in Dublin Central that cars are more and more pushing the limits of amber lights and indeed outright breaking the red lights, sometimes at speed. Gardaí do not currently have the proper resources to adequately deal with this issue, and in fact it's really not practical for them to do so. I can think of better ways for them to use their resources in Dublin Central. Many EU countries operate this traffic system, this red light traffic system very, very well. The initial trial over an 18-month period from that area of Smithfield that you mentioned identified 1,300 road users breaking the lights, and I suspect that was a rather conservative estimate. And from that trial in 2015 in Smithfield, in 2019 those 3 additional cameras were installed, and that does seem quite slow progress.
Thank you, Deputy. And following the completion of the pilot, a review of the overall system was undertaken, and in 2019 the An Garda Síochána confirmed acceptance of the review recommendations and that the pilot installation could be confirmed as a permanent installation. However, it was necessary to re-tender the technical and operational parts of the project, as the original installation was a pilot project only, and under procurement legislation the larger permanent operation requires a new publicly advertised tender process. It's because of COVID commitments, the NTA has not progressed the re-tendering process, and it intends to develop the system design and technical specifications for the Blackhall Place site, plus the additional sites at Concalbert Road and Queen Street, and to seek tenders in the next year. And while the Blackhall Place site is not currently operational, it's expected to be reactivated following the appointment of a specialist service provider. During 2023, it's expected that the additional 2 sites, Concalbert Road and Queen Street, will be activated.
Thank you, Minister. I do believe that we were going to need quite a bit more additional capacity than that, and while movement on it is encouraging, I think it will have to be rolled out nationwide. Just to finish by saying that enforcement and suitable enforcement is going to have to be part of our transport solutions in moving towards a lower carbon strategy. It's also an issue around a rights-based strategy for those with disabilities and making the urban sphere much more accessible. For those who want to move towards active travel in terms of cycling and multimodal trips, enforcement on our roads is incredibly important. Speeding and the breaking of lights has a huge impact on people's perception perception of the road and their right to the road and their use of the road, and that is no more relevant than to those vulnerable groups such as younger children and those with disabilities. Finally, I would say that until the perception is out there that the rules people will be seen when they're breaking the rules and that they will be called out on it and they will be held to account, the rules will continue to be broken.
Thank you, Deputy. And I hear your concerns, and I just want to say that there is no legislative barrier here in relation to this. The Department, as you know, does the legislation. It is up to the agencies, the NTA, TII and Garda Síochána, the local authorities, in relation to rolling out these projects. And I suppose I take your points in relation to accessibility in relation to public transport. We have increased Garda resources as well in this past budget. You made reference to, I suppose, antisocial behaviour on our public transport services. This came up earlier with other deputies, and I know Minister Humphreys has spoken to the Garda Commissioner, and I know the Gardaí themselves are engaging extensively with public transport service operators in ensuring that we can ensure both staff and passengers are safe, and there is ongoing work there in relation to that. But I will relay your comments, Deputy, to Minister Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Next.